I'm your host, Kelly Morgan, indie author and indie publisher. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. Welcome to today's episode. Hey everybody, Kelly here. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. And you know that it's Monday because I have a guest with me. I have author Nicole Hicks. She is here to talk about her books and being an author and what that means and how she got started and where she's going and where she's been and everything in between. I'm always very, very grateful when somebody takes me up on my offer to share the platform. And so that's why she's here today. So thank you so much, Nicole. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I truly appreciate it.
Are welcome. So let's just get into it. So, I think from listening to you, you said that you're a new author, and
I
so I
am.
know what that's like. And so I'm excited to hear about like how this came to being, like what's happening, and like where you want to go with it.
Absolutely. And thank you again for having me on the author's mic. So, the story of the Heaven Team, and for those who are not familiar, the Heaven Team is my series of fully illustrated children's books that help children deal with love, loss, and heaven. Because, Kelly, how do you explain heaven to a child? If you are a parent or a loved one and you have to have that, what feels like impossible conversation, where do you even begin? Because it's not if it'll happen, it's when loss will come your way. And so for me, the way the Heaven Team was born was about 2.5 years ago now. My daughter, she was 6 at the time. My husband's aunt passed away. And that was the first person that she really could identify, like, this person is not here anymore. And when we went to tell her that she had passed away, she said, "Mom, do you mean the Heaven Team came to get her?" And we looked at her and said, "I don't know, what is the Heaven Team?" And she said, "Well, isn't that the group of angels that come and get you when your time on earth is finished and the doctors can't help you anymore because you're too sick and all those things?" And we looked at her and said, "Well, yeah, I guess that is what happened, but we had never heard of it referred to in that way." And so I casually mentioned that to someone one day, and they said, "You should turn that into a book." And I said, "I don't know anything about writing a book." But obviously, I learned something about writing a book, and not just that, a children's book and turning it into a series. And so from that moment, the Heaven Team was born. And, of course, I've got my copy here. The Heaven Team was born, and this is our original Heaven Team book that started it all. And of course, we have Skylar here, and we have Noah, and it basically takes children on the story of the loss of Noah's grandmother and discovering what heaven is and ultimately the Heaven Team. And so the purpose of that is to give children a glimpse of, what kind of happens in that transition, so that it's not so scary that my loved one is gone. Where did they go? What's happening to them? It gives them something tangible to think about.
And so what brought on the one about pets?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you asked that. So just recently, we launched the second book in the series, which is The Heaven Team When a Pet Goes to Heaven. Our same characters are back, Skylar and Noah, but you'll notice we have a new friend by the name of Max. And so in this one, of course, this is Skylar's dog, Max, who's going to become sick. And then, of course, what happens with that. And so when I launched the first Heaven Team book, Kelly, everybody was very interested in it and loved it. But what I was hearing from people was, "Can you do one for pets?" Because pets are a part of the family too. We call them our furry family. And it's the same conversation. When pets do pass away, what do you tell your child? It's a very difficult conversation for adults to have, as well as children. So we launched that, and then we also launched, this is so new that I only have my copy of it, but this is a pet remembrance companion journal. So inside, if a pet does pass or you need to put your pet down, there's a lot of different things in here that children can do to draw their pet. They can put a photo of their pet, what they think their pet is doing in heaven, all of those different things as well, because pets are a part of the family and they do deserve to be remembered just like we would a human being.
So when did you publish the first book?
So the first book was published Black Friday last year, so end of November last year, 2025. And actually, in a sort of sad turn of events, my mother-in-law, that was the last thing she was able to see here on this side. So a few days later, after I launched the book, she passed away. And so being able to have the Heaven team there for my daughter who inspired the story, but could read it and say, I know exactly where my mom is now, and I know what she's doing, and I know what's happening, allowed her to grieve a little bit easier, to have an understanding of what her journey into heaven would look like.
So, Nicole, where are the books available? I think it's fantastic that you have these books, and I'm thinking there'll be more, right?
There will be more. So there was one more I left out. This is also our coloring and activity book. Same characters, Skylar and Noah. But this is our coloring and activity book as well. And so inside this one, children can do things like write a letter to heaven. They can draw their families. They can do little prayers. But there's also things like word searches, mazes, things like that. But yes, they are all available on Amazon. Everything is available on Amazon for ease. We are working with local libraries and things in my area, but the easiest way, wherever you are, is Amazon to get them. And we are expanding. There will be another book that's dropping in June. So if you follow the Heaven Team book on all social media channels, you'll be able to see there'll be another drop in June. I won't say exactly what the name is, but I will tell you it is going in a comic book superhero direction. So definitely stay out for that. If you have young people who love comic books or superheroes, this would be something that they would want to get.
So, the one thing I know about children's books is they don't do anything without good illustrations, right? It's like the book is, I don't know, 70% of that book has to be the illustration.
Mhm.
Um, are you using the same illustrator for all of the books?
I do. I have a lovely illustrator. Her name is Tina. Huge shout out for Tina. Her business is called Creations by Tina. She is on all social media platforms. And it's funny you mentioned that because when I first had this idea in my mind, I kind of knew what I wanted Skylar and Noah to look like, but I didn't know how to get it done because I am not artsy by any means. And I had met with a few illustrators, but they just didn't seem to have the vibe that I was looking for them to have. And when I met with Tina, she sat with me, she asked me some questions that I really hadn't thought about because I'm new to the space. Like, not just what do you want them to look like, but what do you want the background to look like? What do you want the facial expressions? How do you want them to interact in on the pages? What do you want the children to feel when they are reading each page? And so I allowed her the creative, responsibility to be able to hear me and bring Skylar and Noah to life. And I'm telling you, Kelly, as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh my goodness, I love it. Even her designing Max, was exactly what I know most children's pets kind of look like, or the most popular pets that we have in families. And so, shout out again to Creations by Tina across all social media platforms if you're looking for an illustrator.
Oh my God. And that is probably the hardest part to take what you see in your head because you knew what they look like. You
Yes.
knew what those characters look like, but you had to articulate it to somebody or hope that you could say it in a way that they could draw what you saw. And I didn't realize because I have a children's book in me. I do. I have the story, but
Okay.
that getting it on paper is to me the struggle. The struggle
Mhm.
continues. So kudos to you because I think when you're doing children's books, you're in this space, those illustrations are everything.
They are. And one of the things that was so important to me making the Heaven team also is just the representation. I found when I was just designing the book that there were not a lot of books that had children of color or African American dealing with this particular topic. So for kids to be able to see themselves, see loved ones and things like that that look like them was important to me. And as we continue to expand on Noah and Skylar and their different experiences, it's important to have a series that children that look like them can say, I see myself in the book.
So I'm just going to throw this out there because this is how my brain works. When you were creating these characters, did they play in your head like still characters, or did it play out literally like a cartoon?
Definitely played out like a cartoon. My wish and my goal one day is to be
That
able
it'd
to
be a
do
cartoon.
Yes, to get into cartoons, some shorts or different things like that. So if there's anyone in here that is in that background, please find me because that is exactly what I would like to do. But I could almost see it playing out in a movie. And maybe that's partly because I had a child in the same sort of age range. The book's age range is about 4 to 10 is what we recommend. And so I could see, her day to day, how she moved, how her friends moved and sort of how she responds to certain things or things that she would say. And so that's what I could play out in my mind to bring these characters to life.
I wondered. I could tell just how the characters look. I could see it as a cartoon, right? I
Yes,
mean, it is a
yes,
cartoon. They just need movement behind them, right? And
yes, yes,
voices. And I'm pretty
yes.
sure you know what they sound like too.
I do. I do. Yes. In my mind, I already can hear Skylar. No, I can even hear Max barking. We also, in the newest book, we meet Skylar's mom. I can even hear her along with the veterinarian. So many things that I can hear. So I'm just waiting on the right opportunity to bring that to life.
And that's how you know you're a real author.
Thank you. I
Right.
appreciate that. I
That's how you,
appreciate
because
that.
I'm saying they probably, and I'm guessing, I'm just gonna step out on a limb. When you are thinking about them and as you're writing books, they probably take on a life of their own to where you are now trying to keep up with the dialogue that is being said.
Yes, absolutely. And expanding on, going on beyond what just these pages say, but learning more about their day to day and what makes Skylar Skylar, what makes Noah Noah. All of that I would love to bring to life because, yes, I do already hear it in my mind.
And so that's how you know you're an author because your characters now rent space in your head.
They really do. They really do. And so, even after this book that will launch in June, the goal is to continue to bring more of these sort of difficult conversations or facts of life, continuing through the Heaven Team series. So, it may not always be something that ends in loss, but definitely following them throughout other situations where they are experiencing difficult things.
And it's funny that you say that because it's almost like Touched by an Angel for children.
Yes, I used to
Highway
love
to
that show.
Heaven for children. I'm dating myself now on these
No, I know the
animated shows.
show. I know the show. I can, and guess what? I can hear that theme song, but I will not embarrass myself by singing it. But I can hear it. Walk with me. I can hear that singing in the back in my mind.
But on a level for children
Yes.
in a
Yes.
cartoon form.
Yes, yes. And I love, over the past several months, I've gotten emails from parents who have said, I bought the book and nobody had passed away, but somebody just did. We were able to hand out the book to the nieces and nephews, and they love it. And so when I hear things like that, it makes my heart so full to know that that message is going forth and bringing families comfort and most importantly, giving parents a resource. They are now armed with something because parents are grieving too. So they can help the conversation move forward and help their child or children in the family to understand.
Fantastic. Let me give my laundry list of things before I let you go. All right, yeah, so I say this every time. If you are an author and you're looking for visibility, I launched my curated service, TrustBridge. I have a partner network of bookstores, book clubs, and podcasts who are interested in meeting you. Go to my website, go to TrustBridge Author Services, learn all about it. If you want to support me, I have two books out there. Wait for it, and you sound white. I will sell them myself. I sell them myself. I will sign them, send them to you at no charge, but you can get them wherever good books are sold. If you are looking to join a book club, we have one. It's called the IRS. We only support indie authors. You can join us as a reader or you can pitch us as an author. All the information is on the website. And then lastly, on my website, you guys, I have a free guide. It's called So You Want to Write a Book. All the information, if you are just starting out and you just don't know where to start, there's a lot of information that people will put behind paywalls that is free. And guess what, y'all? This is free. Go download it, start your journey because your words matter. So Nicole, I gotta ask you, you've got this whole series going, right, with these children's books, and I think it's wonderful. But how do you stay motivated in marketing the books if the marketing is slow and tedious and heavy? And you know how it is when you're out there trying to market. So as a new author, what advice can you give somebody who's saying, I want to write a book too, because I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm pretty sure when you were up there writing the books and all excited, you didn't really think about this part, right?
Yes,
Until you got
absolutely.
into it, right? And you're like, oh,
Right.
well, wait a minute. How do I actually get the books into the hands of somebody, right? So, as a new
Yes.
author, what advice can you give somebody that you wish you would have known as you started your journey?
Sure. So, number one thing has to be there is a financial investment in becoming an author. So, if you think I'm just going to write a book and I'll sell it and that's it. I mean, in theory, you could, depending on what type of book it is. But obviously, unless you're an illustrator, you'll need to hire one if you're doing a children's book. Even if you're doing it yourself and it's not a children's book, you may still have to invest in getting your cover designed and different things like that. But if you plan to do things like author events, which I also do, so if you are interested and find the Heaven team on social media, I do come out and do author events. I've done daycares, I've done schools already, different things like that. But you have to invest in your author copies, which is an upfront cost that you don't know necessarily you're going to sell or when you're going to sell them. So that is a significant upfront cost as well that you'll have to do. And then, of course, if you need signage, if you need a tablecloth cover, all those different things. So you have to be ready to put some upfront capital that you may not make back right away. Probably the second thing is if you're putting things on Amazon, the royalties are not what you would make if you were selling them in person, because those platforms do take a percentage because they're getting them out to your customers very quickly and printing them on demand, if you will. So that can be a shock for some first time authors. But then number three is don't try to compare yourself to, in my case, like Charlotte's Web or Where the Wild Things Are. Those are classics that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's why children are still reading them. But your community will find you. I have learned that my community is finding me. It's getting traction. I'm on the East Coast, so it's getting traction up and down the East Coast. But these things take time. Unless you're a celebrity that already has all the backing, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get the product out there and get the traction of it. But show up every day, post on social media every day, sign up for as many events as you can to get yourself in that author community, and your people will find you.